Disney World is always changing, but in 2024, we are expecting it to be a pretty big year for the mouse. So let's talk about the truth about what you can expect from Walt Disney World in 2024. When it comes to planning your Disney vacation, all of those major changes can be pretty overwhelming because you might not know how it's going to impact your trip down here. So today we are going to be talking about the things that happened in 2023, some of the things that are going to be happening in 2024, and how you can best plan for your next trip to see the mouse. Now today we are here in my home chatting about all of the things that you can expect when you leave your home to go on vacation here to Walt Disney World. And we're going to have some help along the way, but probably not from who you're thinking of. So let's just go ahead and get started. First, we're gonna jump straight into the 2023 recap and see everything that happened in Walt Disney World. Emma, in the guest room, take it away. Thank you so much for that rousing introduction, Emma. I'm here live in the guest room, and we are gonna be chatting about some things that we saw from 2023. We have our blazers, we have our tiny mic, and we have our memory. So let's hop into it. So first, we're gonna start off with a big celebration, kind of a defining moment for not just Disney World, but the Walt Disney Company. And that is because this year, the Disney 100 celebration began. So if you don't know, that is a huge celebration of 100 years of the Walt Disney Company. And you might be thinking, Emma, we just did 50 years. Nope, we did 50 years for the parks here in Orlando. Now it's 100 years for the entire company as a whole. And frankly, I can't remember a time without a celebration. How about you guys? Now, speaking of anniversaries, I just mentioned it. The 50th anniversary concluded here in Walt Disney World. Yes, it just ended this year. We will always remember you, royal blue and gold decor, and strange choices. RIP the 50th anniversary. Now, during these celebrations, we've had some exciting stuff happen as well, and some of that is opening up brand new restaurants. So this year in Walt Disney World, we got 2 brand new restaurants, one of which is Rodeo Roundup Barbecue over in Hollywood Studios, which just opened in March. In case you forgot, that was this year. And then also Shiki Sai, which opened in Epcot. If you're curious, we do have full reviews of both eating establishments up on the channel right now. Another major return that we saw this year was Happily Ever After came back. Woo! That's literally what my notes say. Happily Ever After came back. Woo! This April, Happily Ever After, the nighttime spectacular over in Magic Kingdom, finally made its return. It did disappear for a little while because of that 50th anniversary, and then Disney surprised us by bringing it back. And everyone was very excited, and it's still as wonderful as it was before, with only a few slight changes. And really the only changes are that now you can see a little bit more as you're down Main Street because they added some projections there. So still the same show that we know and love and we're kind of obsessed with. Now, speaking of nighttime shows, Magic Kingdom didn't get all the glory. No, Epcot Forever came back to Epcot for like a really limited time. It was just an interim show. Okay, it wasn't like a full return the way the Happily Ever After is, but we were excited. It was a show I had never seen, so it meant a lot to Epcot fans and to people who just never got to see the first run of it. RIP Harmonious. Some of us really loved you. Most of us had complex feelings. And if this year hasn't already felt long enough, Tron opened this year. We finally made our way onto the grid. The brand new roller coaster over in Magic Kingdom took about 6 years to build. We finally made it to the grid. We were very excited. It is a little bit on the short side, so people had some complex feelings, but personally, I really love it. Super excited to see another thrill ride over in Magic Kingdom. Now let's continue to talk a little bit about those new park attractions that just opened. And in October, we saw Journey of Water, inspired by Moana. It finally opened in Epcot. Personally, we were so excited to see it. I absolutely love it. I think it's an incredible addition and just really incredibly beautiful during the day and at night. Super interactive, a really, really fun walkthrough experience. Now, speaking of Moana, we're going to talk about some meet and greets that finally made their way over in 2023. First of which is Moana herself finally arrived to our shores, which was actually very exciting. And then she shortly after made her way over to Epcot as well. You can meet her in both places. Now, in other major meet and greet news, Figment. He came to Epcot this year. Finally, we got a Figment meet and greet again. This was huge news for about a day. Literally about a day. People were pumped to see Figment. He had a huge line over in Epcot that first day or two, and now it's pretty casual. We love the purple boy, and weirdly, I'm obsessed with the meet and greet. However, Figment and Moana cannot take all of the spotlight here when it comes to meet and greets. Mirabelle from Encanto also came over to Magic Kingdom this year, which was very exciting. We did have to say goodbye, sadly, to our favorite Scottish girl, Merida. We'll never forget you. And Mirabelle, we're super excited to see you. And the Casita over in Magic Kingdom. However, that is actually not the only Encanto character that you can see in Magic Kingdom. You can actually find Bruno over in the Adventure Friends Cavalcade in Magic Kingdom that happens once a day in the afternoon. And I just think it's really cool to see him. The character looks incredible. He's very shy, and I think it's funny that we're finally talking about Bruno. In other major park news, what is like legitimately changing the face of Disney World is part of World Celebration finally opened in Epcot. Now, we have been waiting a long time for these walls to come down, and thank goodness, a small section of them finally did. Over in Epcot, part of World Celebration finally opened on December 5th, which is Walt Disney's birthday, and you can find a handful of things there. It's World Celebration Gardens. You can find Dreamer's Point, which is the brand new Walt Disney statue. There's lots of seating back there, as well as charging stations, which might not seem like a big deal to most people, but is actually very exciting news when you've been on My Disney Experience a little bit too long during your day. And we've even spotted Pluto kind of meeting some friends in that area as well. So lots of exciting stuff. Less walls in Epcot, which I think is the main takeaway from this. Now, Epcot is still getting some pretty exciting news because on the same day, Luminous, the Symphony of Us, the brand new nighttime spectacular, started in Epcot. This is something that we are very excited about because that Epcot Forever that we talked about, it was an interim while we waited on this show. Now, there are some barges. I know, calm down, it's okay, but they're not so bad. And then they move in and out, and it looks really nice, and it's a beautiful show. Now, of course, you know that we had to have reporters there on the night it opened, so if you want to see full opinions and photos and a little bit more in-depth about that show, you can find it right now on the AllEars.net blog. And I just want to take this moment to say a huge shout out to Epcot. Girl, you are almost there, and we are so excited. For some more spooky news, I said spooky, we're going over to Magic Kingdom, where we finally got our own Hatbox Ghost. If you don't know what that means, it is a very Disney person thing to be excited about, but even if you don't know, it's still kind of neat. So the Hatbox Ghost is a legendary character that actually exists right now over in Disneyland. There's a long tale about why that was exciting, and I won't bore you with it today, but a lot of people are major fans of the Hatbox Ghost, and finally he has made his way to Disney World. You can find him at the end of the never-ending hallway, greeting guests and being a little bit extra spooky. Now, in some other controversial news, this year was Hollywood Studios' first ever Christmas After Hours event. Jollywood Nights certainly came onto the scene in a big way, and it was in a controversial way. It kind of had some bumps along the way that first night, which of course we did attend and you can see on the channel right now, but they made some changes as the event continued, and frankly, I hope they bring it back next year. But if you want to go see our full opinions on what it was like this year, check it out on the channel. Now, continuing with some of those exciting holiday celebrations, Frozen Holiday Surprise actually began over in Magic Kingdom. It was a brand new Frozen themed stage show. It was very exciting. Anna and Elsa are there, of course, as well as some other friends. It's really beautiful, and it is actually not a part of a special ticketed event, so any of the guests could see it. Sorry. And now, friends, if you could remove your caps, we are going to be talking about the in memoriam section and those we have lost in 2023. The Star Cruiser closed forever. Enchantment gone forever. Harmonious, rest in peace. And Splash Mountain, we will never forget you. Now that was a lot, folks. Thank you so much for keeping up with us. I'm gonna head back to Emma at the bookshelf. See you over there, Emma. Oh, thanks so much, Emma. Wow, that really was a huge year. Lots happened, lots of things that frankly I forgot about, but that's not really what we're here to talk about today. No, we're gonna talk about 2024. So we're gonna take it over to Uma in the living room. Uma, how's it looking out there? Thanks so much, Emma. I'm Uma here, reporting live from the living room, and we're gonna talk about what you can expect to see in 2024. My co-reporter Pepper is also here live on the scene. So first thing we can expect is that the Disney Would you mind if I film a little bit? Is that okay? Say hi to the camera. Pepper, you wanna say hi? This is Pepper. One of the most major things happening in 2024 is that the Disney dining plan is back. That's right, baby, the Disney dining plan. The Disney dining plan is an optional add-on to a Disney World vacation package, including a stay at a Disney-owned and operated hotel that allows guests to prepay for their meals and their snacks at Disney World. So they are bringing back 2 plans, which we are pretty excited to see, and let's check out what they might look like. First is the standard Disney dining plan. This is when everyone in the travel party is gonna get 1 table service meal per night, 1 quick service meal per night, and 1 snack/non-alcoholic drink per night with this package, and you even get one of those fun resort refillable mugs per person. Beverages are included with each meal, and guests who are 21 years and older with valid ID can actually substitute for beer, wine, or cocktails. The cost of the Disney dining plan is going to be per guest per night, and for adults it's going to be $94.28, and for children it's going to be $29.69. Now the other option coming back is that quick service dining plan that we're pretty excited about. This is when everyone in the travel party is going to get 2 quick service meals per night and 1 snack/non-alcoholic drink per night with their package, and of course, one of those refillable resort mugs. Beverages are included with each meal, same as the first time. The cost of the Disney quick service dining plan per guest is going to be about $57 per adult or $23.83 per child. Now, of course, the AllEars team is going to be fully putting this dining plan to the test to see if it's actually worth it for you and your family on your next vacation. And if you want that up-to-date information, make sure you are following along on all of our social media, as well as the AllEars.net blog for the most up-to-date information on the dining plan. More major news, all-day park hopping is back. So finally, all-day park hopping is returning. This is huge because as of right now, at the time of filming, you can only park hop starting at 2 p.m., which honestly is kind of a hindrance on your vacation. It limits what you're able to do, and frankly, we are just really excited to be able to go eat breakfast in one park and then immediately leave. Like, that's huge and very exciting. Now, those with reservations, which is at this point going to just be annual pass holders and non-date-based ticket holders, are going to have to still have a reservation, and they can go tap in at their first park, and then whenever you want, at any time, you can park hop. Now, speaking of those changes, we are going to be seeing the end of almost all theme park reservations. Now, there's a very select few that this will not apply to, but if you are buying a ticket that is date-based, that means you no longer need park reservations. Friends, the world is healing. Now, pass holder good to go days are also going to be starting in 2024, and that is when pass holders will not need a reservation at all. Now, if you're a pass holder, you actually did not need a reservation after 2 p.m. On most days except for Saturdays and Sundays if you're going to Magic Kingdom, but those good to go days means you can just walk in whenever you want, and it will feel like 2019 again. Another thing coming that we are actually sad to talk about in 2024 is price increases. Now, this happens almost every year, so it's nothing to be too scared of, but they tend to happen pretty often. Oftentimes you're gonna see parking increases, food increases, ticket increases. We already kind of have the idea on what's happening there. The main ticket price increases is going to be for annual pass holders, and each pass is gonna go up roughly $100. Of course, there's gonna be more price increases that we don't know quite just yet, but again, follow that AllEars.net blog so that way you're not caught off guard by prices when you get down here on your trip. News that we're so excited excited about, and we kind of touched on it a little bit, is that Epcot should finally be almost completed. Because Epcot is always in a state of becoming, that is true. But as far as those walls, baby, in 2024, we should never have to see them again. Now that means the Communicore Hall and the Communicore Plaza areas should be opening, and if you don't know what that means, let's talk about what those two things are. Communicore Plaza is going to be an outdoor space where guests can kind of come and relax and experience those festivals. Now Communicore Hall is going to be over in that plaza, and it's going to be the first ever fully purposed built structure for festivals. It's kind of designed with flexibility in mind. It's going to host a lot of things: experiences, food, art, live music, more. Honestly, it's going to be changing as the building opens, which we're pretty excited about. Now the thing that's probably highest on my list is Tiana's Bayou Adventure. It's going to be opening at the end of 2024. If you aren't quite sure what that is basically Splash Mountain with new theming. A lot of people were pretty sad to see Splash Mountain go, but if you're just sad because you're going to be missing the drop, no worries, that is sticking around. Really what you're going to be able to see is Tiana and her friends in the bayou right after the movie ends, and just kind of her experience and new songs and new costumes, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and for now is slated to open at the end of 2024. Now, outside of seeing one of my favorite princesses a little bit more, the thing I'm probably most excited about is new restaurants, because I'm a Disney foodie. That's my favorite thing about Disney World. That's what I want to see. I think that's what you want to see. So let's talk about what we're going to see. There's actually a handful of new restaurants opening up around Walt Disney World. The first one is going to be Gwendolyn Rogers Cake Bake Shop over on Disney's Boardwalk Resort. This is going to be a new table service restaurant that's going to serve brunch, lunch, and dinner with some sweet and savory menus, as well as an afternoon tea service, which is just very cute and whimsical, and we're very excited, plus a champagne bar. Next up, you're going to head over to Disney Springs for some new dining, where you're going to be able to find the brand new restaurant Summer House on the Lake. Pizzas, sandwiches, salads, pastas, wood-grilled dishes, and more, plus a Cali Mex brunch on the weekends. And finally, if you are a huge fan of Disneyland food, or you've just never been able to go but you want to try it, there is one Disneyland food item that's finally coming to Walt Disney World, and that is going to be the Blue Ribbon Corn Dog Stand. So if you are not aware of what this is, the Blue Ribbon Corn Dog Stand is where you're going to find some awesome hand-dipped corn dogs in this spot, plus that famous pickled corn dog from Disneyland. I have had the pleasure of having one. I want one. I think about it all the time. I'm so excited. And if you've ever been disgusted or excited by the idea of a pickled corn dog, 2024 is your year. Another thing we are expecting for 2024 is some changes to Genie Plus. And I know nobody wants to talk about Genie Plus anymore. It's getting annoying. I get it. I do. But we're probably going to be seeing some changes. So currently, we don't know if Tiana's is going to operate. It's one of three ways, most likely. It's either going to be a virtual queue, which currently is happening at Tron and Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. It could be an individual lightning lane, which Magic Kingdom already has two, so we don't know if that's the answer. Or it could just be a part of the regular Genie Plus service, which Splash Mountain was in the past. We don't know exactly how that's going to be integrated into that system, but it almost assuredly will be, and you can guarantee that we will let you know as soon as we find out what the situation is with our girl. Now, if you're a DVC member, or frankly you just want to stay somewhere new on Disney World property, the Polynesian Resorts DVC, or Disney Vacation Club area, is going to be opening in 2024. Over at Disney's Polynesian Village Resort, Disney is currently building new DVC villas. Now, we don't know too many specifics, but they are slated to open sometime in 2024. And even if you're not a Disney Vacation Club member, you technically can stay there. Now, if you're really not into the Polynesian vibes of it all and you want something a little bit more secluded and you're a DVC member, you can actually be looking forward to some new cabins at Fort Wilderness. So Walt Disney World Resort actually announced plans to expand the Fort Wilderness Resort and Campground by bringing what they're calling reimagined cabins over to the area. The plans are pretty massive, to be honest. They're calling for additions of 350 new cabins to replace the existing ones that are already happening. Each cabin is kind of a standalone. It's going to offer some pretty spacious amenities. It's going to sleep 6 adults, features bedrooms, bathrooms, living rooms, the whole shebang. Lots of exciting stuff. And a select number of those cabins are actually expected to be dog friendly. So if you're somebody who likes to travel with your furry pal, or you just, are going to be there for a while, bring your dog. Now, to continue talking about rides a little bit, Star Tours is actually going to be seeing some changes in 2024, which if you are anything like me, that's the best thing about Star Tours is the new stories, the new possibilities, and they're adding even more in 2024. Now, the main difference is you're going to be seeing some new storylines, of course, but what I'm most excited about is Ahsoka is finally joining the party, and you're going to be spotting her on Star Tours if you keep your eyes peeled. She's pretty crafty. And in what I think is one of the weirdest but also really exciting changes coming is like Country Bears is being completely reimagined over in Magic Kingdom. Now, the Country Bears is one of those just old Disney World classic attractions. Walt Disney actually worked personally on the one for Disneyland, and frankly, a lot of people were a little hesitant when they announced this one. But in 2024, our favorite little bears are going to be learning a new act, is how Disney described it. They're going to be singing some unusual songs in new styles like country, rockabilly, and even bluegrass, which is just interesting. The show is going to be a take on classic variety shows found around Nashville, Tennessee. I'll feel even more at home, and Nashville musicians are actually involved in the new arrangements. We do know we're going to be seeing a new version of the Bare Necessities in rockabilly style, but that's all we know for sure, so I'm very excited. And this is going to take a lot of commitment on my part because I already know all the words to that Country Bears, and I will now be learning a whole new set list. I don't think Disney thought about how this would impact my performance personally. And yes, that was a lot, but there's a little bit more we need to talk about, so let's head back to the bookshelf and see what Emma's got for us over there. Emma, let us know what's happening. Uma, thank you so much. That is a lot coming to Disney World and a lot that we can expect, but there's even some things that Disney has kind of teased, but we don't know for sure that they're coming in 2024. So let's talk about those things that don't necessarily have confirmed dates. Now, in September 2023, this year, Destination D23 was held at Walt Disney World. I got the privilege to go, and Disney teased and hinted at some pretty big changes that could be coming to Walt Disney World. So let's kind of get into what that might look like. The first of those pretty big announcements, teasing things that they talked about was Test Track is currently being reimagined. If you don't know what that means, essentially it means they're going to kind of redo Test Track. Reimagined is Disney's word for just kind of update, give a little love to. So that's very, very exciting. I remember the old Test Track. Obviously, I remember this Test Track. So hey, let's just mix it up again. I want a third Test Track. Let's mix it up. Sorry. The updated version of this ride is going to take inspiration from Epcot's old World of Motion attraction. Shout out Breedlove. In fact, Disney even explained Imagineers along with the team from Chevrolet reaching back into history of Epcot for inspiration. So that's pretty exciting stuff. Another major thing that we do not have the date for just yet is that Dino Land USA, 2 words, Dino Land USA, will be closing
forever.
They've officially confirmed it. They've teased it in the past. And Disney at D23 this year, they gave us some more insight. And you know what? I'm very torn because I'm very excited about the things they talked about, but also it's Dino Land. And I think you guys can get behind that with me. I'm a little sad, but what they are planning on doing with Dino Land USA is they are going to transform it into what they are calling the Tropical Americas. And they are going to be drawing inspiration from Encanto and Indiana Jones, actually. It's very likely that Indiana Jones will be replacing Dinosaur, which is one of our favorite rides in the world, but it has a very similar track as the Indiana Jones ride that is currently in Disneyland. It's the same track, so it's very likely that that's what will go in that place. Obviously not 100,000% confirmed. And I know a lot of people were torn. I actually saw some discussion about how, well, Disneyland already has an Indiana Jones, it's not as exciting, but I think that's very exciting. There's a lot of people who cannot afford to go all the way to California, and this might be their only chance ever to do that. So I think it's very exciting. Indiana Jones is one of my favorite rides at Disneyland, so I would be pumped to have it here. Disney did say that they have a long way to go with these ideas, but that the Imagineering team in Florida is really up for the challenge, so that's pretty exciting. Another one of those little things that we don't have the date for yet, but we kind of are keeping our eyes peeled for, is a Pirates Tavern in Magic Kingdom. So there is a new tavern in the works for Adventureland over in Magic Kingdom, and that is right, it's gonna be Pirates themed. And honestly, we're really excited. Barker Bird is actually gonna be coming back, and he's gonna take up residence in this new location. According to Disney, it's a first of its kind experience. It's gonna expand the stories of Pirates of the Caribbean, and honestly, That just sounds really weird. It sounds really interesting. And we don't know, outside of like what I just said to you, we don't really know much. So I think that there's a lot of potential there, and maybe it'll be a little bit unexpected. Finally, in what is probably the biggest news that they shared at D23 without a timeline, is a Magic Kingdom expansion. So this is not super new news. This is something that they have kind of teased in the past with some blue sky ideas, but it's still on our radar. This year, Disney did actually announce a $60 billion expansion over the next 10 years, and Walt Disney World executives at D23 kind of talked more about that Magic Kingdom expansion, and they even compared it to things like Pandora in Animal Kingdom or Star Wars Galaxy's Edge over in Hollywood Studios. They're calling it Beyond Big Thunder Mountain, and that's just kind of how they're describing it. They have teased some blue sky ideas in the past, but absolutely nothing is set in stone. So if you see it online, it might not be right. Just Google a little bit further before you get too excited about things. So that's pretty much it, friends. Thanks to our lovely reporters, we heard about what happened in the past. We heard about what's coming up. There's lots of exciting stuff on the horizon and lots of big changes that will impact you when you're taking your next trip. So that's why we do all of this. That's what we're here for. And because we're all ears, before we head out, I'm gonna share my 5 favorite planning tips that are almost always gonna be relevant no matter when you're here or what's happening. So the first one is gonna be learning to use that My Disney Experience app before you arrive. So that is Disney's app. It is kind of your key to the kingdom vibes. Everything that you're gonna need is in there. Genie Plus, mobile ordering, menus, how to find your resort, even being able to unlock your room. You can do that in the app. And I think it is so helpful to learn the app, to kind of figure out how to navigate it before you ever get here, so that way you don't have to waste any time trying to figure out what is where and how to use it. Number 2 is focus on that pre-planning before your trip, so that way you can actually enjoy the trip when you're on it. And you're probably thinking, Emma, if I'm watching this, I'm already doing that. And you're right, you're a step ahead, champ. But pre-planning as much as possible is just going to be so nice for you, because frankly you can enjoy your trip more. There's a lot less stress. You don't have to make as many decisions day of, and that's where a lot of people miss things on their trip, is when they're trying to decide right then and there what they want, and they waste time. And so maybe they spent 30 minutes trying to figure out what to do for lunch, which happens to a lot of families, and then now they can't ride a ride that was on their priority list. So just kind of figuring out what you want to do and having backups to those, just being prepared, is going to save you so much time, and it's going to make your trip a lot better and happier. Number 3 is pack for different kinds of weather. I know that sounds really strange. Emma, Orlando's hot. You're not wrong. But if you are here outside of the summertime, the weather can be really wonky. It's always going to be warm. Even in January, you're going to have days that are warm. But especially during the winter here, it can get really cold in the mornings and at night, which a lot of people are not prepared for. And you end up shelling out a lot of cash on random zip-up jackets or sweatshirts. So just kind of have a handful of items where you can kind of adjust as needed, even if it's just a light zip-up jacket, having your rain gear, things like that. Being more prepared for weather than you think you need to be is going to save you time and money on your trip. Number 4 is pick your priorities before your trip. And that's kind of reminiscent, honestly, of the second thing we talked about. Is just that pre-planning. Knowing what your priorities are and having an idea of what you want out of your trip, that's gonna make it happier. For me, I always pick 2 to 3 priorities per park, and you might not think that that's a lot, but hold on, I'll tell you why. If you choose 3 things, say you're going to Magic Kingdom, you really want to do Space Mountain, Jungle Cruise, and Pirates of the Caribbean. Those are all very doable in one day. That is something that, they're some of the biggest attractions. It's going to be easy to do those things, but you never know what crowds are going to look like. You don't know what wait times are going to look like, and you might not be using Genie Plus, so it might take a lot of time to do just those 3 things. So if you do those priorities, anything after those 2 or 3, cherry on top. Just a little bit of extra icing, makes it a little bit sweeter. It's all stuff that you didn't expect to do, and it worked out anyways. So plan your priorities. And then finally, be flexible. You guys, if you have been around at all, you've heard us preach this, and we're gonna preach it even into 2024, even into 2025. I mean, honestly, probably for the rest of time forever. We are going to be preaching, be flexible, because it's so true. If you are able to be flexible on your trip, then you are going to make the most of it. If you have a really hard set, rigid plan that cannot be touched at all, frankly, that's just not always going to be realistic. Crowds are crazy, weather is crazy. You just never know what's going to happen. So having your priorities planned, pre-planning as much as you can, and then having backups for that, it's just going to help you be a little bit more flexible. It's It's gonna help you enjoy your trip. And that way, if things go wrong, that's not true, they're not going wrong. You already had a backup, you're being flexible, it's fine. I hope this was really helpful. I hope you're ready to plan your trips for 2024. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. If you guys like this video, go ahead and like and subscribe. Now go check out all of our information for Genie 101 in 2024. I'll see you there.